One of my best tractor implement was turning the front end loader into a crane. A simple, easily made crane attachment, built on the pallet fork, is one of my most useful tractor implements. It is a work in progress, so stay to the end to see the latest upgrade.
In my case, I needed something to lift jet skis on and off trailers. I thought I would be able to use my tractor for this, but just using the front end loader, whether with pallets, forks, or just the scoop with hanging load, created numerous problems. Due to the pivot point of the front end loader, you can't get a straight up and down lift, making it hard to place the load. The lift capacity of the loader might be enough to lift something heavy a couple of feet up, but not 10 feet up. At least on my Kubota LX 2610, it is very hard to lower a heavy load in a controlled manner. So here is my solution. I already had a Titan pallet fork that has a 2-inch receiver tube. I also had a small winch mounted on a hitch that fitted the 2-inch receiver on my four-wheeler. So the only thing I had to do was to mount the winch to the 2-inch receiver on the pallet fork. I then made a bracket/sled resting on the forks, holding a pulley so the lift point can be moved up or down on the forks. In my case, I welded another 2-inch receiver to this bracket/sled with the pulley mounted on a hitch tube, so it can be mounted either way to this bracket. That way this bracket/sled can also be used to hold a regular 2-inch hitch ball used to move my trailers around. I am using the 2,500-pound rated winch from Harbor Freight, and although that is more than enough for the lift capacity on a Kubota LX 2610, I made it so I can get double lift capacity using double cable with a second pulley. The reason for that is not only to get more lift, but a slower lift when placing something in an exact position, like an engine in a car. This winch also has a cordless remote control, making this much easier to operate, so most procedures can be done single-handed. I would also use the double line when using the system as a stump puller. In that case, I would place a support under the forks that handle most of the weight. Something like this, but with stronger support than a plastic sawhorse to handle the 5,000-pound lift capacity. This is a sample loading a 600-pound jet ski onto a pickup truck. By changing the tilt angle of the fork, the horizontal lift distance from the loader's pin that rates the lift capacity can be adjusted so not to exceed the rating of the loader. The reason I used the 2-inch receiver on the Titan pallet lift was that my winch from the four-wheeler fitted without modifications in that receiver, but would not fit in my bracket/sled. Also, I felt that having the winch close to the tractor and the battery would make the design cleaner. However, I never ended up using the tractor battery, as in my testing, I was using a very small lithium life P04 battery and realized it was okay for more than 10 lifts. Knowing that, I redesigned the 2-inch hitch tube holding the winch so it will fit in either the Titan pallet forks receiver or the 2-inch receiver on the bracket/sled. I also mounted the battery on this bracket, making the whole lift bracket an integrated unit, holding both the winch and the battery in a unit that can be picked up as a mini pallet. Here is the bracket as of today. It still has the original function and flexibility, moving the lift point on the pallet depending on what to lift, as well as using a 2-inch ball to move my trailers around. So here is the setup for the furthest forward lift point. Obviously, this point has the lowest capacity, but the furthest reach. This is what I consider the standard lift point. It might look like it is far out, but by tilting the arms, it can still be close to the pin, horizontally. Here we are about halfway out on a 42-inch fork. I foresee using this point pulling stumps or other heavy items, using added support at the end of the forks. So what is the cost? A 2,000-pound winch at Harbor Freight is $55, and a 2,500-pound, $80 when not on sale. I paid $64 for my 2,500-pound winch on sale. I used scrap metal making the bracket, but I estimate the cost to be less than $50 if purchased. It could also be made simpler than this. I did the welding, so I can't give an estimate if not doing it in-house. The battery is an option, as the tractor's battery could be used. A 10 to 15 amp-hour lithium Li-Fi P04 battery is about $75 to $100 and getting less. Consequently, this could be one of the least costly, and as in my case, the most used tractor implement you ever get.